Is my boyfriend's behavior unacceptable? Run. He's possessive, emotionally manipulative, and trying to start socially isolating you. Get out now. It will only get worse. Research cycle of abuse. I was also 19 when I dated a guy who became progressively more controlling, manipulating and isolating. He was the same age as your BF. If I could say anything to my 19-year-old self, it would be dead end. Get out. They play the long game and slowly condition you, and then they really go to town on your self-esteem. A grown man who acts like an emotional 6-year-old and treats you like you're a toy he doesn't want anyone else to play with does not love you. Trust me. A grown man who acts like an emotional 6-year-old and treats you like you're a toy he doesn't want anyone else to play with does not love you. Just wanted to highlight these words of wisdom. It's called breaking up. These are actual red flags. Girl, my boyfriend would never behave that way because he trusts me. So no, that's not acceptable behavior. Like, dude, he's got mad you spent time with your friend, and not even a male friend at that. You should move out and find someone who knows what boundaries are, who won't go nuts because you're not in their sight. Next thing you know, you're not allowed to have friends over anymore, which would suck, wouldn't it? Because that's technically your home too. So please try to find in your heart the courage to break up with him. But move your stuff before you do and tell him in a public space just for safety. You can even make up an excuse like, sorry, but my parents need me home, and then distance yourself. Man, I'm sorry I sound so angry, but guys like him just tick me off. Please leave him immediately. As someone who has been in an abusive relationship, these are the early signs. It's always you are doing this to get a guy's attention. If you stay, the behavior will escalate. This is usually how it starts. My dad was like this towards my mom, and we ended up having to go to a domestic violence shelter because he just kept escalating until we lived in fear for our lives. I'm sorry you were with one of these people. I hope you are healing now. Major red flags. This is not normal. I suggest you save yourself from future torment and break things off with him. He clearly has severe manipulative/controlling tendencies. Hopefully at least 20 plus people saying some variation of leave will be answer enough. He is possessive and jealous. Run before he starts putting you down verbally and then physically. This is not a healthy relationship. I dated a guy like this once, and I wish I'd broken up with him at the first sign of trouble. I dated this guy for a year and a half, and when I finally broke up with him, he stalked me for a year. These types are crazy, unpredictable and even dangerous. Get out. Same story. I got stalked for a year too, and I swear that was the most traumatizing part. Such disgusting behavior. It makes me sick. It's only going to get worse from here. Take the hint and get out while you still can, before things get complicated. Sounds like the beginning of narcissistic abuse. Get out now. It's only going to get worse. Saying he wasn't being serious is just the start of the gaslighting. You know it's unacceptable. That's why you've come online looking for answers, because your subconscious is picking up on things and it's trying to tell you, leave. So I'm 31, and I dated a guy in his late 20s in 2019 for a couple of months. He was exactly like that. Accused me of seeing my male coworkers, him a bartender, and was always trying to find something fishy. You are 19. You are so young and have so much ahead of you, and the last thing you wanted to do is waste your formative young adulthood playing mental gymnastics with a man who clearly has issues he's refusing to deal with. This is such an important time in your life. Focus on you, your health, your friends, and have fun in your early 20s before you need to really pipe down in your mid 20s and lose interest in partying. Do not give this precious time to a man who does not vibe with you and wants to control you. You will fall into a cycle that could potentially last years and damage you. Run. You seem like such a sweet person. This sound very similar to my experience with my ex-boyfriend. Words from a gal that's experienced this but couldn't leave. I stayed with him for almost 4 years. Leave him. He is showing you his true colors. If you try to leave him, chances are he's going to swear up and down that he'll change. He may for a couple of days, but he'll go back to how he was. It only gets harder to leave the longer you deal with this behavior. A lot of commenters here are saying that this guy's manipulative, showing red flags, that you should break up with him, etc. If I were 19 again, honestly I would think that people were exaggerating or being dramatic. Maybe that's how this comes across. I don't know. I just want to say that for those scary relationships, the ones that are emotionally and or physically abusive, the kind that leave you broken as a person, this is literally how they start. These stories don't end well. People stay because the bad stuff isn't all the time, and the good times are really good. When you're emotionally attached, it's hard to leave someone when they're sorry and you still care about them. You want to believe that this time they get it and they are going to work on themselves. And you agree to because they argue it's both of your faults. Nobody's perfect. Maybe you're being too sensitive. It was just a joke, etc. But this sort of manipulation and behavior escalates. You get more invested in the relationship. You get more financially entwined. And it gets harder to leave. Your self-esteem gets chipped away. And it gets harder to leave. You stop telling your friends or family about fights you have because it makes him look bad. Or they're just going to tell you to leave and you've heard it a million times and it's not helpful advice. Because you already know that you should leave, but know that you're not going to. Please look up trauma bond and take a peek at r/emotional abuser. Please consider ending this and moving out. Relationships that start this way can change a person, how they think, how they view the world and others, in a way that's hard to fix, and you'll never get that time back. And if you end up having to co-parent with someone like this, it's a literal nightmare. It really sucks that you have to dip after only 4 months of living together, but you really do have to pull the plug on this. This is the kind of behavior that eventually turns into full social isolation, financial abuse, and even physical abuse. Start getting your ducks in a row. Inform a few friends of the situation, and slowly start moving important and small items out of the apartment. I would take out all of your stuff while he's at work and then do the breakup with him in person, only if you feel safe. He hasn't been violent yet, but he does sound a little crazy. Because you've moved all of your stuff out, he can't convince you to stay. Talk to your landlord. If you have a lease and are paying a portion of the rent, consider taking the L and just cash apping what you owe, because behavior like his only gets worse. Especially if they sense that you're trapped. It is so much harder to leave a relationship once you've moved in. And I wish that more of the kiddos on Reddit understood. Not to sound condescending, but just leave is way easier said than done in a situation like this. Regardless of how long you've been seeing someone, these actions are clear warning signs and you should break up with this guy. However, when poop like this goes down without even 6 months passing, run for the hills. Run. Oh yikes. No one is allowed to tell you who to spend time with. I don't care who they are. He sounds like a jerk. Also, sounds like he's gaslighting you by pretending it's not a big deal. My friend went through something really similar over the past summer. Her boyfriend was super possessive and jealous, and especially jealous of me, since I was her best friend. It got to a point where I hardly saw her at all anymore, and she already wasn't talking to any of her other friends. He ended up physically assaulting her. The situation was awful. Unfortunately, she's out of that relationship and is alive. But be very careful please. This sounds like a textbook case for abuse and I don't mean that in a rude way. That's what my friend was told when she finally got out. You don't want to wait until it's too late. All of these are massive red flags for this becoming an abusive, controlling relationship. I'd leave as soon as possible. To add to everyone already saying it, red flags are there. Break up with him. This is going nowhere good. And him speaking from having made this mistake already. It took 8 years, but he eventually became intimidating, then aggressive, then violent. Breaking up was even harder after 8 years, and I wish it'd done it sooner. You deserve to be with someone who you trust and who trusts you back. Someone who wants you to express yourself and is made happy by you cultivating friendships and being a well-rounded person. Your partner should view you as a human with agency, not as property that could be stolen away from him when it's out of his sight. You deserve a relationship where you don't feel off balance and confused. Don't feel attacked. Don't feel like you have to defend yourself against accusations like this. He is already trying to isolate you from your friends and tear you down for your clothing at 4 months. Imagine what he will be like in a few years. Leave now. From experience I can tell you this will only get worse and escalate. The longer you stay the harder it will be to leave. I stayed until I realized one of us had to die. Him or me. Don't let it get that far. First couple lines I was like, oh, maybe he's got separation anxiety, but as soon as you brought up the who you love more comment I noped right out of there. There's a difference between being anxious and afraid of being left behind, and refusing your partner friendship and enjoyment. If you love someone, you want them to have friends and a support structure. You want them to be happy. 2 options. Either he agrees to therapy to see himself why this is problematic and you keep real close attention to if he's getting better or not, and you leave if he refuses or doesn't listen to the therapist, or you leave him and hope that this is the kick in the but he needs to realize he needs to change his attitude for the sake of his next relationship. This situation is not good for you now and it won't get any better going forward. Please break up with him now before it becomes harder to leave. Don't hesitate to reach out to your family and friends for help. You are better off without him. 3. I was with someone like this for 5 years. It just got worse and worse, AMD worse. It took me 5 years to recover from the damage. He would give me poop for smiling at people in the coffee shop and also would tell me I was flirting with the waiter while out to eat. Please do yourself a favor, AMD, get out. It will only get worse. I lost who I was, which was a happy-go-lucky, self-confident lady. I ended up cutting all my friends and family out of my life and had a really hard time digging out of the emotional abuse hole. Please take the advice of everyone and run before you suffer too much. The little bit of drama already is not worth it. This guy is starting an abuse cycle with you. Get the hell out this moment. When he tries to suck you back in with his sweetness, remember that you can't fix him, and you could waste your life and damage your spirit trying. The more time you spend with an abuser, the less likely you will be to recognize the signs in future relationships. Pat yourself on the back for seeing the signs. Just run. I dated someone exactly like this for 4 years. It was the worst 4 years ever, and I didn't see it. He was emotionally abusive that started out small and then slowly intensified. He would punish me with silent treatments and questioning my love for him. One day I snapped and broke up with him. Never looked back. Edit. I then met my now boyfriend who really opened my eyes on how I was treated. Seriously op, I hope you're reading all 3 comments. I'm going to have to give my vote to leaving him as well. You're so young and don't have to live like this. Not that anyone of any age should put up with this. Don't hand your life over to your gut. If he ever grows out of this behavior, I can almost promise that it won't be while he's with you. Him changing shouldn't be your problem though, cause you gotta go. Don't let him make you think it's your responsibility to help him get better. Brace yourself and have a plan. If you decide to leave, breaking up with this kind of crazy is never a smooth process. You need to make clear that you will not be in a relationship without trust. You can't solve trust issues by giving into them. His remarks about how you want to be noticed by other guys is highly dangerous because it reveals a very toxic mindset. I'm not in favor of leaving partners because of their issues, but if he is not apologetic and doesn't see that he has to work on his issues and not you, then there is zero hope for not only a fulfilling relationship, but also for a safe relationships. Guys like this will abuse you physically or mentally or both. This always happens gradually and intensifies over time. If you give any further fuel his delusions, please be safe and smart about this. Break up. Read over what you wrote and think, if this was a friend or sibling with a partner that talked to them like that, would you still want them to stay in that relationship? That's childish and controlling. It seems like Hez trying to isolate you. Hez making all these excuses that are rude and disrespectful about how you dress, liking his friends more, or hanging with your friend for too long. That's how controlling people make you think it's better off to not interact them, so they stop complaining, then you end up alone and have to depend on them for support. They make you normalize it in your head, but this is not a safe relationship to have or keep. Leave as soon as possible. Disrespecting you about your clothing is another red flag. He basically implied you're unfaithful and sounds like a person that would victim blame for assault. Don't waste your life. Completely unacceptable in every way. Run. Dump him. Leave him. This is abusive and will escalate. I'm sorry you're going through this. If he doesn't want you to spend time with your best friend and gets angry and jealous because you didn't answer your phone while on the store at the corner of your apartment, he doesn't really respect you. When someone truly cares about you, this person shouldn't try to make you stay away from other people you love and are nice to you. These patterns of behavior will only continue since he refuses to even acknowledge how his behavior affects you. Get out now while you still can. He is possessive and insecure. These qualities are likely the result of long-term emotional issues/insecurities, being cheated on, chaotic relationships and abusive relationship examples in the past like his parents etc. And they are difficult to fix even assuming he agrees to work on it. It's unfair to you. It's controlling and manipulative. And it will likely always be an issue. I've seen these issues in relationships and they are an endless cycle of jealousy, anger, followed by a period of forgiveness/peace before just cycling again. I for one do not have the patience or desire for a toxic relationship like that. If it were me, I'd get out now and not look back. There are way too many red flags. Good luck, Opus. Not normal at all. He basically called you a cheater and can't stand when your attention isn't fully on him 24/7. This could be a lead up to him trying to dictate who you speak to, where you go, what you wear, etc. Just because you're dating doesn't mean you have to be up each other's butts at every waking moment. Healthy relationship don't work like that. Also, yeah, you love your best friend more than him. She's your best friend. She's been in your life longer. She was there before he and she'll be there after him as well. Please listen to all the comments. Opus, I know you're probably dreading the breakup because you think this is love, but it will only get harder the longer you're together and cohabitating. You're only 4 months in, and you're at one of the most fun ages of your entire life. Save yourself regrets later and leave now. You really should consider leaving him before you are well and truly trapped. I don't know if you have strong family ties, but since your friend probably has an idea of what's going on, I think you might want to ask her for help. If you in any way suspect that your boyfriend might try to keep you from leaving, then leave while he's not in the area. What he's doing is emotionally abusive, and it looks like he's trying to isolate you while making you dependent on him. Run. Run. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Seen this movie before, and it is not good. Please leave him. Sorry you are in this situation, but as everyone here is saying, you need to leave. His behavior is not normal. Good luck and stay safe. As someone else say, maybe breaking up in a public space like a coffee shop would be safer. Please leave. He is childish, possessive and controlling. This behavior will not stop. This is who he is. You've been living together for a short period of time. The longer you wait, the more difficult it will be to leave. You can take your things when he is at work, go back home, if that is an option, or stay with a friend. Unacceptable and red flag behavior. You need to stand your ground and tell him about himself. Tell him you will leave him if this continues, and try find out why he is so insecure. Not acceptable at all. He may be jealous or whatever, but it's his problem, not yours. And whatever the reason is, in the end you are the one who pay for the consequences, not him. You can stop going out, stop having friends, stop school/work. He will still be jealous. It's without end. By example, he give you the silent treatment to punish you that you doesn't spend time with him. He wastes the good time he still could have spent with you, punish you. So you can leave now. Or give him boundaries and require him to work on his insecurities with a pro, but I guess it won't last. The answer is yes. Trust your instincts. Has given you a heads up about what to expect down the line. Yes. His behavior is unacceptable. Yes. You need to end this relationship. Yes. He is jealous and controlling. Yes. He is trying to isolate you from your friend and support system. Yes. This will escalate the longer you stay together. Yes. These are red flags that he is priming you for future abuse. Run. If you feel like his behavior is unacceptable, then it is. It's your relationship, so it doesn't matter what other people feel about things. Run. This is so far from acceptable you can't even see it from there. This is the behavior of a man who is liable to kill you one day. And I'm totally serious about that. Please. Please get out of there. Okay, something is clearly wrong with this guy. This is a step in a very bad direction. Whatever he says, you are not in the wrong. He needs help. Run. Run fast and run now. Do not tell him your plans to leave. Arrange what you must. Leave. And then go no contact. Please. I'm begging you. This will escalate. Ditch him. This is the kind of man who get dangerous. He is controlling, insecure, and jealous. He lashes out at you with words. For now. Oh, girl, run. Run like the damn wind. If he's like this now after 4 months. Question mark? Exclamation mark. What about in a year? Question mark? Yes, it's unacceptable. Run while you still can. Also, could he not get anyone his own age? As a general rule, if something isn't sitting well with you, you should talk to him. If nothing changes, you should run from him. No, this is not okay. You might talk to him about it and try to educate him about why and how it is not okay. But what you shouldn't do is baby him, change your behavior, or accommodate this sort of thing. It's potentially understandable if he deeply cares about you, doesn't know how to handle separation anxiety, and is terrified when you're out of his sight. That's something you can deal with through experience and reassurance. It's possible to navigate it, but it has to mean that he is the one that chooses to understand and modify his behavior. If he doesn't, or if he can't, this isn't a relationship to stay in. He sucks, and you're way too young to be moving in with a romantic partner. I used to date someone like this. Leave him ASAP. It's only going to get worse, and if you let him be, will ruin your mental state and life. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.